Tonight, we're getting new information on the upcoming Senate impeachment trial. We're going to show you what to expect and also discuss the issues that each side is fighting over. Then, new questions and concerns about the rationale that the president used to order the airstrike that took out a top Iranian general. We're going to show you how this episode is part of a pattern we've seen play out for more than 3 years now. And the Iowa caucus is now exactly 3 weeks away. We're going to take a look at where the Democratic race stands and also how the primary calendar will impact it. Evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you for starting your week with us. Now, the impeachment trial of Donald Trump, it is coming soon. That much at least we know. What we don't know is all the details, but we can make some educated guesses to this point. And for that and the rest of your impeachment news, senior political correspondent Andrew Whitman, who drew the short straw. We're still a little bit of guesswork here, but we know what both sides want, though.
That's true. And let me start with the one fact we absolutely know about, Rich, that Nancy Pelosi will send the articles to the Senate this week. She said so today. But that's about all we know right now. And Pelosi does still have some options that will help determine when and how the trial proceeds. Pelosi will meet with other Democrats tomorrow. Their reaction may determine when she takes the next steps. Now, she says that this week at some point she'll transmit the articles and name managers, so the trial could start as early as Wednesday, or later this week, or next Tuesday after the King holiday. We'll see. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are still squabbling over possible witnesses. McConnell wants both sides to make their cases first in the trial, then vote on witnesses. Schumer wants witnesses as part of the prosecution being led by the House managers. Meanwhile, President Trump is spouting off again about having the Senate just dismiss the impeachment charges and skipping a trial. It doesn't look at this point like he'll have enough Republican support to do that, but we will see. As for possible trial witnesses, this weekend, both Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi held out the possibility that they may call John Bolton to testify in the House if the Senate fails to do so.
If the Senate does not subpoena John Bolton and other witnesses, will the House move to subpoena him?
Well, it's not excluded. It's not excluded, but we'll see what they do.
As for the trial itself, USA Today is identifying 6 Republican senators it says could be the key votes. That list includes Mitt Romney and Lisa Murkowski, both of whom have been critical of the president, Susan Collins and Martha McSally, both of whom are on ballots this fall, plus Lamar Alexander and North Carolina's Richard Burr, neither of whom will have to face voters again. Rich?
You know, one other date, Andrew, and that is the State of the Union.
February 3rd.
Exactly. And the president's made it clear he wants this thing dismissed here. He wants to be exonerated or acquitted, if you will. Obviously, Republicans are wary about giving him that kind of arena, at least some of them. And Democrats want to have these guys on the record.
In 1999, Bill Clinton gave the State of the Union address in the middle of the impeachment trial, so it's possible to do so. Yeah, Democrats are afraid that he's just going to declare victory if the trial is over by then. I think Republicans should be afraid of what he might say or do if the trial's still ongoing by the State of the Union.
Unscripted Trump? How dare you?
Yes. Unbelievable.
I know. All right, Andrew, thank you. Our next guest got an interesting perspective on this. He's former Congressman Brad Miller, a Democrat who represented North Carolina for 5 terms. All right, Congressman, I'm curious from your perspective as you watched along with us, did Speaker Pelosi get anything about playing chicken here with McConnell at the end of the day? She's not going to get the assurances she wants, but was that wait worth it?
She does seem to have gotten something from it. She's made life very difficult for the Republicans in difficult races in swing states, that they could not appear just to be groveling to Donald Trump and to Mitch McConnell. And McConnell and Trump would like to have done nothing, would like nothing more than just to make the whole thing go away, to have it be a one-day story. And by holding it up for 3 weeks, it has not been a one-day story, and it has really shown a light on what they were doing, on what the Senate procedures were, and for Americans who want to see the Senate act with integrity and conduct a fair trial, it really put pressure on a lot of the Republican senators.
So Bolton says, hey, subpoena me and I'll testify. And obviously Senator McConnell said, don't hold your breath. But now over the weekend we've seen, Adam Schiff saying, yeah, maybe we'll just do that. We might take you up on your offer and subpoena Bolton since he's got a lot to say. I was asking that question last week. Why, since the articles, haven't formally been handed over to the Senate, doesn't the House, actually subpoena some of the folks they really want to hear from and they haven't heard yet? Do you think there's a decent chance that they'll follow through on it and actually subpoena Bolton in the House?
I don't know, but it certainly there's certainly no basis for Bolton to say that he will testify in the Senate but not in the House, even though the House will by then have passed over the articles of impeachment. They still are entitled to know what went on in the national government with respect to the Ukraine, so the American people can know, and whether Bolton's testimony helps Trump or hurts Trump, we ought to have it.
You know, I want you to take a look at this, because while I don't think there's a world where 20 Republican senators in today's day and age would ever convict Trump, even if we have video and audio evidence of him saying quid pro quo to the Ukrainian premier. That said, there's at least a half a dozen Republicans that either have tough re-elections or are on the record as having real issues with this president and what he did. Well, there's an ad right now targeting some of those, particularly in tough re-elections. Let's play the clip.
Hey, Cory Gardner, ask yourself, why are you losing? Why do the polls show you headed for humiliating defeat in November? So scared of his tweets, you'll do anything Trump orders. Blocking witnesses, stonewalling to keep Trump's corruption secret, breaking your oath to follow the Constitution and the law.
Now, that spot obviously targeting the Republican senator in Colorado for re-election, but it could play in a whole bunch of different places. Pull the curtain back a little bit. 4 Republican senators that have tough re-election fights, and also Richard Burr, who you know from serving in North Carolina alongside. He's not up for re-election until 2022 and maybe won't even run again. He's been a pretty honest broker on the Intel Committee in the Senate, I think, is the chair. You got Mitt Romney, who's also on the record with real issues with this president. Do you think enough Republicans will say to McConnell, no chance, no how, are we going to go through a show trial here? At least let's give the appearance that we want to get to the bottom of this. Is that more likely, or is it more likely that they're going to strawman any Republican who dares cross the president, and McConnell will just basically try and dismiss this thing before it even starts?
Oh, I think there's a very different vote for procedures and the vote to impeach. I can't imagine, as you said, that there are going to be 20 Republican senators voting to impeach. But there are going to be several, including, as you said, Cory Gardner, Susan Collins, Martha McSally, who will have a very difficult time voting for allowing no evidence, no witnesses, nothing that resembles a real trial, a fair trial. And I think that ads like that make life very difficult for them. I wish I could say that it's because of their true beliefs, but it does appear to be a political calculation. I think Richard's in a different position. I don't expect Richard to run again in 2022. I didn't really expect him to run the last time. He had said to me and others privately that he didn't expect to, and I've had a good relationship with Richard over the years, and I do respect him. And as you said, he has been much more independent as the intelligence chair. He has not publicly groveled in the way that others have, notably Lindsey Graham. But it's still going to be very difficult for Richard to vote to impeach. I can't imagine that he would. My experience with even former members is they just can't flagrantly brazenly oppose President Trump. Their livelihood, to a large extent, still depends upon their being in good graces with other Republicans, and something like that would make them pariahs. That's certainly true of lobbyists, but it's really true of a great many former Republicans who might want to continue to be involved in politics in one way or another, and that may be true of Richard.
Hey, Congressman Miller, I really appreciate the time here. It's going to be an interesting week ahead of us. Thank you for yours.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, when we come back, the president has become infamous for, putting it politely, twisting the truth. Also for taking credit for things he had nothing to do with. It happens much more than you even think, including with issues of national security. We'll explain after the break.